I've talked a lot on the podcast about my family. My parents are still together. So when I say I'm going home for Christmas, I'm only going one place for Christmas. There was a time, some time ago, when I was dating someone whose parents were divorced. And not only that, but one of her parents had been divorced again. She had gotten so close to the step-parent that she had several places that she had to stop every holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas. And she tried to drag me along one year, and I said, absolutely not. I can barely stand to celebrate Christmas once, and you want me to go celebrate 4 times? No, thank you. So I completely get the plan for Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon skipping all of the Christmas shenanigans and going on a trip. In fact, I generally try to do that myself. I do check in with the family. We'll go home for a couple of days. Christmas is going to be right in the middle of that, and then off on vacation because it's so much better. You end up resenting your family for staying too long. But if it wasn't clear thus far, this time around we are talking about the Christmas movie Four Christmases. So I think this is one of the first really adult movies of the mix. This was not intended to be a movie for kids at all. This was focused on adults. It was a Christmas-themed movie for adults. If you've been with me for a few months, you know that I did a review for The Last Christmas. Very similar. It is aimed at adults. It's just meant to give adults something to go to at Christmas time. Four Christmases, very much the same thing. Let's dive into the pleasantries first, shall we? Four Christmases is based on a story by Matt Allen and Caleb Wilson. Screenplay was written by Matt Allen, Caleb Wilson, John Lucas, and Scott Moore. And to be honest, I was a little depressed finding out that there was that many people working on a script. And that's what's ended up on the screen. Doesn't give me a lot of hope for breaking into this industry because I do so amazing just all by myself. And it was directed by Seth Gordon. Four Christmases, of course, stars Vince Vaughn. He's making his second appearance on the list. Last time he was here for Fred Claus. Now he's here as Brad in Four Christmases. Reese Witherspoon plays across from him as the other protagonist. The other half of that couple, Kate. And they're supported by a group of parents I really would love to have, despite the fact that they kind of make them miserable all around. Robert Duvall plays Brad's father. Sissy Spacek plays Brad's mother. Jon Voight and Mary Steenburgen play Reese Witherspoon's parents, one of whom, Mary Steenburgen, is a huge evangelical Christian, which I can identify with a lot, as we've talked about previously. Dwight Yoakam makes an appearance as Pastor Phil, and I love a Dwight Yoakam appearance. Find reasons to put that man in movies. He's excellent. Tim McGraw, Kristen Chenoweth, Katie Mixon. Fantastic cast all around them. Just a bunch of adults who you've seen in a bunch of things. Maybe it's music for Dwight and Tim. Katie is known for a lot of HBO shows, Vice Principals, basically anything with Danny McBride in it. And you really could not have picked 4 different people from 4 different styles of movies to be the 4 different parents. That in and of itself really, really nailed it, I think. So Four Christmases, Brad and Kate have, for the 3rd year in a row since they met, decided to skip Christmases with the family and go on vacation. Unfortunately, the weather in San Francisco has become foggy and their flight is canceled. So they're stuck for Christmas Day. Because secret, you should travel on Christmas Day if you can. It gets relatively cheap because nobody wants to actually travel on that day. They're scheduled to fly out, so instead they decide to go see their families. We're going to make 4 quick stops, in and out, and we're done. But of course, it doesn't go as smoothly as they planned. We find out that despite everything we know about Brad, he grew up kind of white trash. Robert Duvall as Howard, Brad's father, and we find out Brad's not his real name, names his children after the cities where he meets the women who birthed them. 3 sons, 3 different cities. Tim McGraw, one of the brothers, plays Dallas. I left out Jon Favreau, who played Denver. Jon Favreau just... This is early 2000s Jon Favreau when he was still jacked and younger looking and jacked. Way more like his early movies, before he got into the directing with Iron Man, I think. But nonetheless, he is amazing and does an amazing job. He really should be on screen more. That's my point. He should be on screen more. And we find out that Brad's name is actually Orlando. Another city, another place where his father knocked up a woman. And boy, do they have the dynamic of a blended family. Not really blended, I guess, because the boys all came with dad, but certainly not as nuclear and normal, if you want to use normal in that way, as other families. And of course, Brad tries to show off a little bit with his money and help his family out. And they're not having it because Poor people are the proudest people, and they will not take help. And after basically everything that can go wrong does go wrong, including the first baby vomit gag of the movie. And I can't believe I have to say this, but it is the first one, and there are several, and maybe our sensibilities were just different back then. I don't know. But off they go to Brad's mom's house, and we realize that Brad's mom is huge, like ex-hippie, basically, just embracing the free love lifestyle, and embracing it so much that she is now dating Brad's best friend. And you start to get to the point of like, this is why he doesn't come home. Family's a little bit of a train wreck, and then over here, ex-best friend is dating his mom. I get it. I wouldn't want to go into that situation either. And from there, they go on to Kate's mother's house, where we find Mary Steenburgen playing her evangelical mother. And everything is just about the church. You know, there's like a giant Jesus in the front yard, and she is all about impressing Pastor Phil, who's Dwight Yoakam, who she's dating. And I could really put myself in that mindset. Because, again, my dad was a pastor while I was growing up. And I know that a lot of girls who I dated who didn't see any of that religious stuff from me must have been confused when I kind of gave them the heads up and we were on our way to meet my parents. And then they get put in that awkward situation of like, how religious should I be? I mean, / how religious am I? Or as far as my parents know. So after that, 3 Christmases down, and the team of Brad and Kate is basically down for the count. Kate is having some realizations that no matter how terrible things are, that these people have each other, they have a family, and then maybe she wants that, even though she told Brad a long time ago that she didn't. And Brad needs to go back to his dad's house and get some more bad advice. And here's the one place that it differs from a lot of other movies, where you would think that he'd go back to his dad's house and his dad would just like come up with this crazy wisdom for no reason. But instead he goes back to his dad's house. The horrible advice and the horrible attitude continues, and he comes to the realization himself rather than having his dad bring it to him that, you know what, you're miserable. I don't want to be you. I got this good thing. Maybe I should do something about it. So he rushes off to find Kate, who is now at her father's house. And, you know, Kate's parents are relatively normal. It could be that it makes me think of my own childhood more than, you know, the crazy Brad growing up. But, yeah, maybe it just seems more normal because it's more normal to me. But, you know, we see that her mom and dad have, you know, ceasefire, and they've calmed down because they want to be the best they can for her sister's child. When grandchildren get involved, of course, they want to be the best they possibly can. Brad shows up, and she's now thinking like, hey, you know, I don't have to change everything about my life. And he says, oh, I just want to be, you know, I'm open to the idea. I'm just not saying right now. And so we wrap on just, let's be clear, I'm not saying we're going to get married soon. I'm not going to say we're having kids soon. And lo and behold, both of those things happen in quick succession, of course. You know, which, again, is another one of my complaints about the movie. Just it ties us up nicely in a bow. And this movie was supposed to be focused on adults. It could be dirty. It could be, you know, not perfect, but you go with the happy ending at the end. Except for not so happy. Because the little caveat is they didn't tell anybody they were pregnant because they didn't want to get all like smothered by everyone. The family finds out that they didn't make the plane at the very beginning. I feel like I'm telling this joke way out of order. But because a news crew comes up to them and they're like, hey, your flight got canceled. How are you feeling? And they're like, oh, you're not doing charity work. You're going on vacation. And then they get caught with the baby because their child is the first child born in the new year. So news crew breaks it apart. You know, this is the kind of movie that it's not so Christmassy in its theme. It's not so Christmassy in so much it like warms the heart. This is a movie that really just makes you appreciate what you have at home. Like nothing you have going on is going to be as crazy as what Brad and Kate have to deal with. And maybe there is something to that, to just being like, okay, so that is nuts. And I'm glad I don't have to deal with that. You know, it's not so bad. Not so bad at all. And I think that's where you can find a lot of solace and why it's worthwhile to watch. You know, all of these movies have like a reason that I watch them. And, you know, as bad as I might feel at home and how trapped I might feel, I will never feel as bad as those two feel at any of those parties, no matter how much it may resemble my own life. And now, of course, Kate's dad going to the grandparents' house. I have a sister who has a child, and, you know, they're so happy to have the child around, and here I am, older and childless, with no perspectives on the horizon at all for that, and also not wanting it. Would much prefer the vacation to the child, but you know, I'm just saying. And so I think it's a little bit of medicine for, hey, it could be worse, right? But I am finding that a lot of these middle of the road movies, like these middle of the 12. They're not the movies that I first think of to get myself into the spirit. This is the doldrums of the list, where it's like, I just need something a little Christmassy. It's got to have a point to it. The reason I watch it, I watch Fred Claus because I like the Santa-based story, but it's really about the grumpy guy and all that. I like this one because, hey, it could be worse. Yeah, this is, it's not necessarily a movie that's going to get you super in the Christmas spirit, but maybe it's a movie that makes you feel better about being trapped with your family at home for Christmas. In any event, it is an hour and 45 minutes, completely worthwhile. And, Vince Vaughn, I'm a big fan of Vince Vaughn. I don't know if you've noticed that thus far, but I really like him. So, go watch it. Go watch Four Christmases. You'll be able to find this one on AMC as well. It's available on the AMC app and only on the AMC app. So, if you have AMC through your cable provider, you can easily get access to it. And again, you can't get the Premiere app without getting the basic free app, which seems weird to me. But nonetheless, if you have cable, you'll be able to access this just by plugging in your cable information and showing that you have AMC. And then you can watch it on demand instead of waiting for it to come up whenever it's going to come up in natural time. But hey, you got nothing else really going on. You're thinking like, oh God, how could this be worse? The one place I don't want to be is right here, right now with all this going on. Watch Four Christmases and it'll give you, as my dad used to say, if you don't stop crying, I'm going to give you something to cry about. It will give you something to stop complaining about where you are, because there are worse places you could be. And if nothing else, Four Christmases is worth it just for that. And that's it for another episode of the Everyman Movie Review. Thank you once again for joining me for this special series, The 12 Days of Christmas. Quickly, if you want to support me and all the work that I'm doing, especially in this time of giving, a great way to do that is to go on over to patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek and become one of my patrons for the next year. For as little as $1 a month, you get early access to everything, and you get mentions and thanks in all the videos and the works that I do, whether it's a screenplay or a book, or these YouTube videos, or even some of the short films that we're working on. So that's, of course, patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek. And you can find me for free, of course, at all your social networks, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Snapchat, TikTok, where I'm trying to make some really funny videos with my nephew through this holiday season. You can find me on all those places at Robert N. Cheek. You're probably watching right now on the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Rob Cheek. Please make sure you check out all the other videos, my usual Everyman Movie Reviews, the Rob Explains series, and I got a lot of exciting stuff coming. So why not hit that subscribe button, give me a gift for the holiday season, and give yourself a gift. Hit the notification button so you know when I post my next video. And if you're listening to this in podcast form, of course, you're probably doing so at anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews. And you might not be directly on that site, but Anchor is where you're going to be able to find a link to wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. And of course, don't forget to check out robertncheek.com, where it's got more information about me and everything that I'm working on. You got nothing but time. It's the holidays. You're sitting around. Go check it out. And if in between these shows and the movies that you're going to be watching, of course, from the 12 Days of Christmas, you got a little extra time, make sure you check out the Oh the Anthem podcast. New episodes of that podcast come out every Tuesday. You can find more information at ohtheanthem.com. The videos are available at youtube.com/ohtheanthem, and you can find it at anchor.fm/ohtheanthem in podcast form. Thank you guys once again for joining me again for this special series. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, because we're going to have another movie for the 12 Days of Christmas special. I'm so excited to bring you my favorite movies from this time of year on 12 consecutive days leading up to Christmas Day. Have a happy holiday season. I hope you're enjoying it with your family, and my best to you and yours during this time of year. So until next time, have a great weekend.